My genuine feeling on this stick is that this might be the best, like, beginner stick I've ever seen. Arm resting, booty. Don't even bother with it. There's a strap for this fight stick, and I love that. So I've been a big fan of Qanba for a long time. My first fight stick was a Qanba Obsidian that my sister bought for me when we went to Capcom 2018. So as a brand, Qanba is one of my favorites. I like the gravities a lot. They're probably like my second or third favorite button. I just really enjoy them. So I was pretty stoked when they announced the Sapphire. Now this is once again a local special. Thanks Zach for letting me unbox this. This is his stick. He just gave me permission to open it up. So we always know I talk about the packaging. And this one's an unusual hot cold for me because I love all of the branding. We got Qanba branded tape. Like it's just all logoed, but it is kind of just a regular box. Before I say anything else, let's open it up and see what's inside. So I did cut the tape. I'll go ahead and slide this out together. Okay, yeah. Alright, that's a little bit more like what I was expecting. It's really cool to see a company that has like a branded regular box. So this is like a shipping box that they've branded themselves. But then they still have their nicer like display box. So I'm into this idea because branding is everything. And I kind of just love that they took the time and spent the money to do that. Okay, so same deal, cut the tape. So let's go ahead and get the reveal here together. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Got the extra layer of plastic over the stick, which we always know I love, and obviously, that's a manual. Oh, and this is a manual. Ooh, that's nice. This is thick. This manual kind of reminds me of like what you would get with like a brand new camera or something like that. There's like a lot going on with this, and it like explains a lot of stuff. Like this is really a high quality manual. But I know not everyone's as obsessed with this type of thing as I am, so let's get on to the stick. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this out of here. Okay. My homeboy is very light. In weight, I'd say this is comparable to like the Hot 42 T series. Like, it's actually very light. Okay, guys. Let's set this aside because I see something that I talk about all the time. So there's different items in here. We have our USB cable, we have a memory foam wrist rest, and I see a shoulder strap. You know what that means? There's a strap for this fight stick, and I love that. I'm gonna go ahead and set this stuff off to the side for now. Let's open up the stick and then we'll look at the other stuff later. Normally I would do the other stuff first, but like I want to attach a strap and everything onto this, and that's more conducive to having this open first. So I went and I got the tape off the bag carefully because I'm trying to make it so I can repack this for Zach. One other thing I noticed is that the Qanba branding is going crazy. They've even got it on this bag. I love it when brands are doing this whole like putting their name on everything. Alright, let's get this out of here. Oh, that's nice. Look at that. So I really like these buttons up here. I'll do the button check in a little while, but like I like having these like laid top buttons up here. Got the touchpad. There's a little like screen here. I don't know what this is for. I've got like the little diagonal thing that's like associated with a lot of like the obsidian and stuff like that, but it's not as severe of an angle, which I would prefer this to be more severe for my own design preferences. But this back pad, look at this. This is so cool. Like, I think more memory foam back padding that like, you know, this is non-slip pad. I think more of it needs to have cool designs and stuff going on with it because there's no reason for this not to look cool, and this is an amazing example of it. I don't know if I'm a fan of like this art that's in here, but this back here, super, super cool. Okay, I just spent like the past 10 minutes going through the manual on this because this has an insane amount of features. So first and foremost, there's not a software that goes with this. It is able to be programmed in the stick itself. You basically hold the settings button and the start button and it activates a menu that lets you program LEDs, lets you program buttons, and a bunch of other stuff. Everything is mappable from this little like LED screen right here. In addition to being able to play with the LEDs and the mapping up here on this little like LED screen, you can further program the LEDs using these buttons over here to like change some aspects of the LEDs. So like everything can be done in the stick itself, no external program needed. Now there's all these little like toggle switches here. This one controls obviously PS5, PS4, PC. This is your different button profiles and layouts, kind of like how the cross-up is set up. You can actually program layouts and switch them on the fly by going to these different things, which I always like this. It lets me have a physical representation of what profile I'm in. Now obviously LED on and off. This actually makes it so that this button is on or the touchpads on. Like you can switch around like what buttons are activated and not activated. And then there's obviously like a tournament and lockout switch right here. Now we all know how I feel about C-ports. I really hate them. They're the easiest to break. However, this one might be the best version of a C-port because it has like this guard that goes over it and you can lock it. Now this little door with the hinge is very flimsy feeling. It feels very cheap. I'm not a big fan of like how it feels, but it's probably the best protection I've ever seen for a C-port. So of all the C-port sticks I've seen, this might be the best one just because of this little protector door thing that they have. In addition to all the other customizable things that are built into the stick that I've talked about, I don't know if you can see it very well on the camera, but there are little arrows on the individual buttons themselves. They have a little suction cup that comes with this, and you can actually grab the button itself and click it to different directions, which will give you different throws for each of the buttons that are like manually, you just twist it with the little suction cup thing, and it changes the throw of the buttons. And in fact, I'll give you a quick demonstration. You might be wondering, well, where's the throw puller thing? Well, they have this little magnetic hinge on this little piece that has all of these parts and tools inside of here. If you hadn't guessed already, this is a micro switch fight stick, so not traditional buttons. So they have extra keys here. They have spare plungers, so if you want to like get rid of a button, like you don't like having this button here or this button here, you can actually take the buttons out and replace them with a little plunger. That'll make it so that button's gone. So they have these here for you to replace those with, and then your tools are right here. So you get this little metal bar looking thing, but it's actually, if you unscrew it, it's a flathead screwdriver and then a Phillips on the other side. You use this to help pull off the keycaps because you can remove these keycaps with all the tools and equipment here to pull them out. So this is your little screwdriver for pulling off keycaps. But this is the little plunger thing that I was talking about. It's like a little suction cup. You actually push this onto the button and do the suction cup thing, and then you twist it. It changes the throw on the buttons. Might be hard to see, but this one's at more of a diagonal now than this one right here. And this is I've changed how deeply I press in the button to get it to actuate by just doing that with the little plunger. The best thing about all this is it's all inbuilt into the stick. Programming, tools, the buttons themselves. You don't actually need to have anything external. You don't need a external program. You don't need extra different parts. Like, it's all right here. Obviously, if you want different micro switches, you would need to buy them, but they are swappable. What I'm trying to say is that everything is inbuilt into the stick. There's very few sticks that are like that. Obviously, like more old school sticks didn't need programs and stuff because they only had just this going on. But the more customizable age, there's very few sticks that you can just do everything without a program or some external thing. In fact, the only ones that I can really think of are this and the Hitbox Ultra. Now I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way and unbox a couple other things that this came with. So we have the strap, the cable, and then a memory foam wrist rest. So I went and I popped the side open here so it'd be easy for me to pull out for us. Alright. Oh look, it is branded with the Qanba stuff. I definitely like that. Again, I went ahead and I opened up the plastic because I'm trying to be extra careful so I can repackage this for Zach. Alright, here we go. Yeah, I mean, the Qanba strap is actually really cool. I kind of like this design, this very subtle, like, black on black. But it's just a strap, nothing super special about it. But, like, it has a strap, which is super special in and of itself. I'll go ahead and attach that and show it off in a little while. Alright, I went ahead and I pre-opened the box, so let's go ahead and see what the cable looks like. Ooh, this is nice. Also, branded, love that. But this is a super thick cable. This is like a really thick cable. And this is reinforced right here, where it's like most likely to break. So the more I'm looking at this like stick when it comes down to it being a C-port stick, I'm feeling more and more confident that this might be the best C-port setup between this really nice thick cord here, like the reinforced cord, and the protection like door. This might be the best C-port stick I've ever seen. Alright, and lastly we got the foam pad. It was actually already open in the box, which is a little bit unusual, but I think it was because it was to make it easy to pull out because of where it was positioned. So I'm going to go ahead and get this slid out real quick. Oh yeah, this is a memory foam like little wrist rest that you would like use on like a mouse pad. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this piece down here is magnetic. This is just built like set up with magnets. So it looks like, yep, this guy's just magnetic. So you can just magnetically put it on. Let's see how this feels. It's a little bit weird because it's like, to me it's a little too far back. Like if I'm If I'm laying my wrists all the way down, I guess, but I think I would like it better if it were here. But it's still a nice option to have. Most fight sticks don't come with like an attachable wrist rest, and it matches the artwork that's in there. That is a little bit of a bummer if you're able to change this out. I don't know if you can change this art, but if you can, it's a little bit of a bummer because this wrist rest will never match the art that you put in there, but it exists. I don't know if it's the best. Again, I wish it was down a little bit so I could have more of my palms on it. My hands aren't long enough to reach like this, but it's nice to have. And the fact that it's magnetic, you just pull it off, super nice. Yeah, I really love this like magnetic feature. I think more fight sticks need to be doing this. Like the Hitbox Ultra does this. This is doing it. Like having magnetic pieces that you can pull off to access things is super nice. It makes it easy, and it doesn't feel like this is gonna come off. Like I'm having to like really intentionally pull this one little piece because there's like so much fat right here. You see like where you can put your fingernail in. So much fat here, it's hard to get that one part. I could see a universe where this magnet isn't as strong as what's on the Hitbox Ultra, where if you dropped it, it could like go flying or something like that. That's possible, but it still feels pretty sturdy on there, where I don't think that's going to happen. One more thing I want to mention right now before I do the size comparison and I do the button check. The big negative I'm feeling with this is everything feels kind of cheap. This feels like a kind of flimsy stick. Like the buttons don't feel super good, the plastics they use don't feel super great. This feels awesome. But aside from that, everything kind of feels cheap. This like panel that I was talking about, it's kind of flimsy. It feels cheap. It doesn't take away from the features that it has. All the features are amazing, but the like stick feel in general, kind of like cheap plastic. Like it feels a little bit like the Hot 42 models, which are nice, but like, and this is nice, but it's not great. It's not wonderful like some of the other products that we've reviewed recently. But so far, that's the only main strike I can put against it. Obviously, I haven't played on it yet, so I'll give you more info about that in the second half of the video. Now for some size comparisons, here is the Qanba Obsidian. So you can kind of see here. The Qanba Sapphire actually has a pretty big profile. It's like the same length as the Obsidian, and it's just a little shorter on the sides. But like as far as size goes, this is I think bigger than the Empress. Hold on one second. Yeah, it is definitely a couple inches bigger on all sides. And here's the Hot 42T model. It actually fits like inside the button space here. This little box is about the size of the Hot actually. Which like means that there's like almost 2 inches on a few of the sides here. So this is significantly bigger than the Hot 42T. So it definitely has a larger footprint while having a lighter body. And now for a button check. So I'm going to go ahead and play with this bad boy for a few minutes. I did put the wrist rest on there and obviously the strap. So we'll see how this is. So I will say fiddling with this little port will take some getting used to. Not particularly hard, but it does take some getting used to. So we're going to go ahead and do first boot up real quick. Plug that in. Boom. That's nice. This little like blue glow that it starts with. So one thing I can say, we're talking about the C port thing. It is a little weird. This does push the cord around inside the C port. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's actually moving the cord around inside the C port, which I do not like. If you hold it up while you're putting it in, like it avoids that problem, but if you are just like closing this up and locking it and everything, you are actually jiggling this inside the C port, which is the thing that usually damages C ports. Alright, so playing around with this a little bit, I was looking at the little screen because it didn't turn on like the Hot 42 sticks usually do. I was like, oh, what's going on? It only activates when you're actually pushing buttons on there. So I don't know if you can see it very well, but like it'll turn on the different various buttons and show what button you're pushing as you're messing around with it. So I'm sure this is reprogrammable, but I think it's really interesting. So I was showing off the whole touchpad C button thing earlier. This is C button, and if you're looking at Street Fighter here on this screen, I have C button turned on right now. It actually turns it into another touchpad. So like you can use it for like easier training mode stuff. You can stretch right here and just hit this instead of reaching all the way up here to the touchpad. I noticed while I was messing around that I was having to like, the stick is pretty large in profile. I was having to like reach to like reset every time I wanted to reset. And by switching it over to C, it's literally just right here, which is a nice inbuilt feature. I'm sure that you can reprogram this to be something else. but it's a cool way to have like an easy training mode button, and then you can just get rid of it when you don't want it. So I'm playing for like a half hour now, and I'm playing with the wrist rest on. This wrist rest is not doing any good for me. And it really is a situation where my hands are here, and I'm still actually like leaning over the wrist rest to put my hand on the stick, because the wrist rest too far down. This needs to be up an extra couple of inches for it to actually like hold up the like a spot that would keep my hands in a more proper position. All that's happening right now is I'm actually, when it's down here, I'm actually just putting my hands like backed up against the wrist rest, but my hands are still on the stick. And that's the only way that I can do this comfortably, because if I bring my hands back anymore to like actually be on the wrist rest, my fingers can't reach the buttons, and it's basically not doing anything. Maybe somebody of different like hand size and proportion this might be better for, but I've got pretty average hands, and I don't think that this is a good placement for this. So I'm actually going to change this out real quick and just put on the regular little bar that goes here. Yeah, this definitely feels a lot more comfortable. I was fiddling around with the different throw distances on each of the buttons. I couldn't feel a huge difference. Like I couldn't tell, because I didn't look up what was what, like what was like less and what was more. So I just kind of was doing it raw off of feel, and off of feel I couldn't tell a huge difference. So there probably is a difference, but I couldn't tell. But it was pretty easy to do on the fly. I was pulling out the plunger, fiddling with it, putting it back, putting this thing back on here. Like actually using the tools that they've given you to work on the stick is super, super, super easy. It actually just works. One quick tidbit though, when you put the plunger on, you don't push down and twist. You actually like let the button release and then you twist. If you push down, it doesn't rotate ever. If you have to have it like unpressed and then rotate it. But I was actually rotating it and doing the whole thing while it was still plugged in. I was working on it and doing stuff with it. So this is very accessible to do what it's trying to do. C-ports. We are not friends. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this actually still has wiggle room here to move around, which I don't like. That's a normal problem for C-ports, but it definitely limits the left and right motion. So I know I've spoken a lot about this recently with different like wire setups and problems. I don't think that this thing is ever going to have a problem getting knocked back and forth and getting damaged. I don't like that it's still slightly wiggling in there, but this is a C-port problem, not a Qanba Sapphire problem necessarily. So this is the best C-port fight stick I've used so far. Okay, so I just got done with my hour playthrough on the Sapphire, and I have some mixed feelings on this one. Arm resting, booty. Don't even bother with it. Unless you have long hands, I don't think it's actually worth using. The overall build feel is kind of cheap, but the features that are built into the stick itself are super amazing. I just can't deny that this is a feature-rich stick. This might be the most feature-rich stick. So while on the one hand it has like a lot of cool things going on with it, on the other hand it just doesn't like feel like the actual textures and like how it like kind of creaks and moves a little bit. It just doesn't feel super awesome. I'm also pretty confused on the customizability. I know this is a newer stick, so I don't have a lot of information about it, but I see that Focus Attack has like art print stuff for the Sapphire, but I don't see how to change the art. The micro switches and keycaps are changeable, but I don't know if they would continue to have the feature of being able to click it to switch them, so I think you're kind of stuck with these keycaps if you want to have that sort of toggleable throw on your buttons. So I'm going to say the customizability is kind of low on this stick. Again, with the art thing, I'm not willing to pull this apart because it's not mine, but I haven't seen anyone do it yet. I see that there is art to print, but I haven't seen someone actually change the art on this yet. But with that said, this might be one of the best sticks at its price point. This guy's going for $180. Hot 42M Ultra, like that metal stick I showed off a long time ago, which is like $170. But this has way more features going on with it. Obviously strap, it has all the little attachments. You can do adjustments to the throw. There's a headphone jack, I forgot to mention that. It does have a headphone jack right here. Like, it has everything you could want in the stick, and it's PlayStation certified, so it works on your PS5, PS4, PC. And they do have an Xbox version too. And you get LEDs on top of that are programmable, and the whole stick is programmable from the stick itself. You don't got to go on the computer or your phone or an app or anything. These are all really amazing features at a $180 price point. My genuine feeling on this stick is that this might be the best like beginner stick I've ever seen. This might be the stick that I recommend somebody who wants to try leverless this might be it. Obviously, price-wise, you get a Hot 42 for pretty cheap, which will be a better option for you trying leverless. But if you're going to get something that you're trying to invest in for a little while and to use for a long time, this might be the best product, just because it's PlayStation certified and has all these features in it. Like, if you have the money to spend, I would just go straight to the Sapphire, skip Hot 42 altogether. But for more seasoned fighting game players, I'm telling you, this stick just doesn't feel right. It just ain't doing something right. It's definitely something I could get used to if all of the features were something that I wanted. Personally, I like having regular arcade buttons. I don't particularly love having micro switches inside my sticks. But this is kind of a to-taste thing, I think, on this. One great thing about this stick specifically is the fact that I can pull these buttons out and put plungers in top of them, because a lot of the thin leverlesses don't really have that as an option, so I can eliminate buttons I don't want. I'm not a big person that likes to have all of these buttons floating around. Like, this guy was getting in my way when I was resting my hand and just doing stuff. So, like, that is a really good feature. But for more seasoned fight stick owners, I think there could be better options on the market. But this is still very strong just from the sheer amount of features it has built into it. I really think it might be the most feature-rich stick I've ever touched. I just can't emphasize, like, the programming itself, and LEDs, and programmable LEDs, and a strap, and headphones, and tools, and extra buttons, and plungers. This thing just has everything. It just feels kind of cheap. And I am still worried about the C-port thing, especially since this little door was pushing and moving the C-port around as I was plugging it in. Once the door was settled and locked, it didn't move too much. It still had some give back and forth, but definitely not left and right. But, like, I still am very nervous about any sort of C-port inbuilt to the motherboard sticks, because if that C-port breaks, you're kind of screwed. And for my own personal strap vendetta, take note, other fight stick companies. It's super easy to add in a strap thing. See this empty negative space that's right here? These guys just put a bar right there. Super easy. Give all fight stick strap options. Super good on you, Sapphire. My final thoughts? Most feature-rich stick. Kind of feels cheap. It is actually pretty inexpensive. I'm a fan. I don't know if I would use it, but I'm definitely a fan. People who are new to leverless, give this a hard consider, because this is a really strong option with just a lot of, like, cool things going on with it. And if you don't know any difference for, like, feel of fight sticks, I really think this is the, like, go-to starter stick. Thank you again, Zach, for letting me unbox this. As always, get out there and support your locals, or you can come support mine. And now for the anti-unboxing, where I try and get their fight sticks back in a box so that my boys can enjoy unboxing the thing they let me unbox on a video. Gotta start off by getting my filthy fingerprints off of here so it's clean. First things first, we're gonna get all the accoutrements back into the boxes. And bam! I couldn't get the cord in here properly, so you can see it's kind of bubbled up a little bit, but I did my best. Now to carefully reinsert this into the bag. Bada bing, look at that. Now we just slap the manual in there, pop this lid back on top. Boom, baby. This is way easier to put back together than the DOI, the other stick I did. Now we slide this back in here. I do not have Qanba style tape, so this one corner is going to stay opened. I will just do this. But since I don't have Qanba tape, that's the best I can do. Bada bing. Reboxed.